Karen has a weight loss story, and then she's going to share some awesome tips with us.
Hi, everybody. I'm 63 years old. I guess I was early 50s when it was like my weight finally got to me. I was 253 pounds. My mother was diagnosed as a pre-diabetic. I was diagnosed as a pre-diabetic, and my mother was dying from diabetes complications. So I got to see firsthand what happens with a diabetic. Even though she was on dialysis and she was doing everything right, she was determined to have a port put in her arm so she could do dialysis at home during the nighttime. And that's when it got infected. She ended up in the hospital. They gave her too much Coumadin. They told her she couldn't go home until she goes to the bathroom, and she wanted to go home. So she forced herself, and internal bleeding started. And pretty much that was, unfortunately, my mother's sad story. But in her dying so bravely, it gave me the strength to see, okay, if I'm pre-diabetic and that I'm this heavy, I was in an unhappy marriage, which didn't help the situation. And I just decided it was time for me to make the change. So until you're ready for it, for me, pre-diabetic diagnosis changed my life. In the middle of winter, Albany, New York, I grabbed my 18-year-old son's iPad, listened to Eminem for the first time in my life, because that was the only music on it, put on 5 layers of clothes because it was winter, and just started walking. And that just created a situation where, you just start walking. I was sweating as I was walking, drink a lot of water. I figured if I was a pre-diabetic, how does a diabetic eat if that's going to be my future? So I just looked at carbs. Thank God I didn't have high blood pressure. Thank God I didn't have to worry about other problems. For me, it was just, if I eat like a diabetic, at least I'm setting myself up for my future. So I realized carbs are your sugar, and you have to limit it. Each meal was 40 carbs. Once you learn about carbs, everything pretty much has carbs. Carrots have carbs. Back in the old days when you were on Weight Watchers, you'd eat, which was I was heavy my whole life, So, I could eat carrots all I wanted on Weight Watchers, but you can't do that as a diabetic now. It's about keeping your blood sugar straight. So each meal is 40 carbs, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Each snack was 15 carbs. You need to have a protein with every one of your meals, or you never be full. Protein is what is going to help you survive eating like you have to. The protein is the size of your fist. So whenever you eat a protein, this is your guideline, your fist. The snacks with whatever you put it together, 15. I bought a carb book and just figured out what I like and what I eat. There were times I wanted to eat ice cream. I ate 40 carbs of ice cream for my dinner. I followed the guideline. I ate what I wanted, and I got it out of my system. I found my secrets were, if you wanted something that was bad, eat it. Because you're going to eat 10 times worse things until you finally eat that stupid thing you wanted. So just get it over and done with eating it and put it behind. Yesterday I mentioned that it was 80% of the times were good choices, 10% were bad choices, and I was told I was missing 10%. So those are the very, very bad choices. Okay? So I added that in today to make that equal 100, to prove I can add. Like I said, rule number 1 was there is no rule. I never told myself I was on a diet. I told myself I was choosing to eat better. And that's where the 80, 10, and 10 came into play. If you're going to do bad, just do it and get it over with. I was lucky in that, I'm athletic, so I did start working out at the gym. And then I found out the more weight I lost, the more food I had to eat. Now, that's the scary part, because you still have to try to keep within your carbs. So my cheating would be I would eat more of the carrots or something that I know has more sugar. But for me, because I wasn't a diabetic, I was blessed. I never became a diabetic. I never was put on any medicine. Losing 100 pounds saved my life. And while I've been here in Colorado, I've actually lost 101. I lost that extra 1 pound, which took me 15 years to reach. But, simple things. Your clothes are going to tell you if you're losing weight or not. The clothes don't lie. Don't put pressure on you. Don't make it be you're on a diet. Just choose to change one thing. Try to drink a lot of water. The more water you drink, the more you're running around looking for a bathroom. That is more exercise. So it's little things that just try to psych yourself out. In my marriage, I was overweight. My husband was overweight. My oldest son was overweight. And my young son was thin as a rail. And when I lost weight, he suddenly had a problem with it because suddenly like he was the only thin one and everybody else was fat. You know, and it was just, you know, people react differently to somebody who's going through a lifetime change. For me, I did get divorced out of it, but you know, that was part of why I was overweight probably, you know, my whole life. But being a kid back, you know, in the 70s, I was muscular then, but they called me fat. So my whole life I had this image of being fat when really I was just muscular. I wish I was born now because muscles are in. So just like I said, it's important to eat. It's real important to eat. Not eating is not the answer. Your body is like a furnace. If you throw fire into a fire in the morning and you keep it lit and going a little bit all day, it'll still be lit at nighttime. If you put it in the morning and then don't add anything till dinner, your fire's out, and now you got to start getting the fire going again because that's what burns the fat. Your body's like a furnace. You got to give it the food it needs. So don't skip. If you're going to skip a meal, skip nighttime. The most important one which people skip is morning. Don't skip your morning. You know, try to eat. I tried to eat 5 times a day. Breakfast snack, lunch snack, dinners. And then at the beginning, I did have a nighttime snack just because you don't want to be so uncomfortable that you just stop trying to make any little changes you want. So eat the 3 meals. Eat the snacks. If not, for a diabetic, then you're going to go high and then you're going to drop. And then you're going to go high again with your sugar when you eat. You got to breakfast, snack, and it's kind of like an even keel. And that's what keeps the furnace going in your body, which keeps burning the fat. Any questions?
Awesome.
Yes.
Give us an idea of some of the things that you ate that you felt were really satisfying. And I know that can vary between people.
Right. Munch on, you know, celery. That's like your best thing to nibble on because it's 100% water practically. Chicken in the morning is great because I'd be leaving my house, have my cup of coffee, and I'd take a piece of chicken, sprinkle it with salt, and that's what I would nibble on when I'm driving. Because if you're going to cheat on something, if that's a poor word, you'd rather cheat on the proteins than the carbs. But for a meal, always eat proteins and carbs together because that'll fill you out. Pick the food you like best first and figure that out and then add the others to it. You know, don't look at it, it's like, oh, I can't have that. Don't ever restrict yourself. It's kind of like, right now we're going to be put on a water restriction here in Walsenburg. And what happens when that happens? People use up more water. You know, so it's the same thing with food. The more you restrict yourself from having things, the more you want it. If it's something you want, just have it in portion. So you just, it's personal. It's personal. And yes, the hardest part is losing the weight. It's even harder keeping it off. And that's where it's just a constant battle just to, you know, make choices.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Karen.
Thank you.
Really helpful.